If your opponent play this move, you will win the game. What if I told you there is a French defense line that nobody plays, but that can ruin completely white plans? Today we are going to analyze a little known but very powerful opening for black, and an opening that takes your opponent away from their plans and forcing them to play your game. After e4 e6, d4 d5, normal for French defense, white has to play normally 3 move. Or e5, playing the advanced variation, or playing e takes d5, playing the exchange variation, or normally they play knight c3 because black has to play bishop pawn b4, playing the winner variation. But today we're going to see a different plan, a flexible weapon that can be used against knight c3, but also against knight d2, because sometimes people play knight c3, but sometimes they also play knight d2. So this weapon is against a knight move. So the idea is super easy and you can add that to your repertoire. This line is called the Fornox variation. So as I told you, after knight c3, black move need to be d takes e4. So knight on d2 or knight on c3 has to take the pawn. And normally when you play the French defense, the biggest problem for black is the light square bishop. So this line helps you to not have that problem, because you have to play bishop on d7 immediately. So you can play the bishop on d7 and your opponent here has multiple choices. The most playable move, the most played move on chess.com is knight f3, because white has to develop a piece, everything can be fine for him, but here we have to spend 2 times moving the same piece. So that's not what I normally suggest to people to do, but you have to play the bishop on c6. Now, as you can see, we moved the bishop 2 times, but now this bishop is extremely strong. First of all, because we are attacking the undefended knight, so he has to do something. But also because we put a bishop in the strong diagonal and we have not the problem that we normally have when we play the French defense. So what white can do in this position? He has probably a most logical move that he can do, that is bishop on d3, because he spent a move defending the knight at the same time, but also developing a piece. So everything can be fine for white. He can castle immediately, and here black has to play knight on d7. That seems a strange move because you're not doing anything, to be honest. You are just developed a piece. It can be good, of course, but who cares? You have to do something also. You have to take the center. So as I told you, here white has to castle. Sometimes he has also to play queen on e2, but normally castle is the main move in this position. So what black can play in this position? He has to play knight f6. And here multiple choices for white. First option is knight g5 for attack the f7 pawn, but that is also not so well because you can play just bishop on d6, queen e2 for example, and after h6 is forced to go back. But what's happened? You have to remember this pawn setup, because now we have to play bishop takes e4, bishop takes e4, knight takes e4, queen takes e4, and you have to play c6. This pawn setup, okay, the pawn can be on h6 or on h7, is absolutely the same, but e6 and c6 without the d pawn can be the way. So you can think all the time you want, but it's super difficult to find a good idea, a good plan for white to develop the pieces well. So you can just play knight f6 knight move and you can attack the queen. You can castle, you can play queen on c7, but which will be white plans? Okay, playing rook e1, but okay, what can you do? Playing the bishop where? Here, not so good. Here, not so good too. So that's really good for black, this position. Maybe white can play something like this. You can castle, you can push, but bishop on c7 is the way you're attacking the h2 pawn, so everything can be fine for black anyway. So let's go back and I show you that knight g5 is not so dangerous. Another line that white can play that is also the most played on chess.com, so we have to analyze a little bit more, but it's super easy. It's super easy to remember, because if you play knight g3, you have to play bishop take f3. Queen take is a forced move, and you have to play again c6. So you need to arrive on this setup, pawn setup, this pawn setup, and you can play bishop d6 next move, and everything can be fine for you. Because if you play, for example, bishop on g5, pinning your knight, you can just simply play bishop e7. Every move is super easy to be fine, and you cannot blunder, you can do any mistake, and life can be beautiful for black. Another idea in this position, especially if you play blitz or bullet online, can be bishop g5 pinning the knight. But because white say, okay, I'm pinning the knight, he cannot move the knight, I'm trying to attack this knight. But no problem for black. You have just to play bishop e7, and if he takes, for example, you have to take. If he play rook e1, bishop f3, queen f3, and of course c6. Same exactly situation, no problem. Now this bishop is extremely bad because you have literally no squares to be played at the moment, because here is bad, he cannot do anything, here he can, here he can, here is bad, here he can, and here he can. So everything can be fine for black in this situation, and if you decide to take, you can take, you are attacking this pawn, and you can castle. Simple chess. But now let's see the most funny thing if your opponent blunder, because here your opponent can make some mistakes, and if he start with playing knight take f6, you are thinking, okay, you have to go take back, I have to take back with the knight because I can just play the knight in a better square, but you have to take with the queen. You have to take with the queen because your opponent 20% of the time on chess.com play bishop on g5. There is a big blunder. If your opponent play this move, you will win the game, because move is bishop f3. And after bishop f3, you will win a piece. Depends about your opponent move, of course. If your opponent decide to take, easy. Queen take the bishop and you're a piece up. Easy. If your opponent decide to take your queen, take the queen. If he takes the bishop, you take the bishop. If he go back with his bishop, you go back with your bishop, and you are still a piece up. If your opponent in this position decide to play something like queen d2, defending the bishop that is attacking the queen, and at the same time the g-pawn is attacking the bishop, you have just to play a simple move. Queen takes d4. He takes your bishop, but let's see the pawn structure. Is super weak, and you're in a completely better situation, and probably black can play the game without any problem. So guys, I hope you enjoyed seeing the video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget also to follow the channel and share the video to your friends. I hope you enjoyed, guys. This is the 4 Knox variation. See you on next video.